everyone. Welcome to Doodles Ep.19. I'm your host, Sapna Malhotra. School days, college days was fun. Those memories are still bright and sparkly in my mind. Running to catch that school bus, sitting with a friend, sharing snack. And as you grew older into your high school years and your college years, I remember sitting with friends, solving a problem, uh, you know, preparing for a test. The friends, the teachers, all of them became your mentors, your guides, and they helped you figure out, what your aspirations were, what my goal is, what do I want to do in life. They were they were your world that supported you. And imagine at that crucial time in your life, if a pandemic hits you like a lightning bolt, what do you do? Because the learning still has to go on across this screen. The sharing amongst the teachers and the friends has to continue, but across the screen. Does it work? What helps? What doesn't? What doesn't work? There are so many questions in my mind that I want to ask the students of today. And for that, please welcome to Des Doodles today my fantastic four Arav Jain, Janhavi Kelkar, Meher Sabharwal, and my daughter, Megan Malhotra. Welcome to Des Doodles, all of you.
Hi.
Hi. So wonderful to have all of you over here. It's with your beautiful smiles, it already is a sunny day. And I think you're going to spread so much color with the wonderful stories, the unique stories that each one of you is here to share with us today. And I don't want to keep on talking more, and I'm going to give it straight to you guys. My first speaker today, let's hear it from Meher Sabharwal. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay, I'm Meher Sabharwal and I'm 19. I did my schooling here in Bangalore and now I'm going to be pursuing biomedical science. And right now I'm doing an internship in a company based in Bangalore, which works with remote patient monitoring devices. And yeah, it's going great.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's amazing. So, Meher, how did you get to be at this place where you wanted to go and pursue uh, this particular course? What inspired?
I feel like bio has always been on my radar, like from as like long as I can remember. I think from like seventh or eighth grade, I've always known that I didn't know what exactly.
Yeah.
So I think bio has been on my radar for the longest of time. And I think for as long as I can remember, from like seventh or eighth grade, I've known that I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do, but I know that I wanted to do something related to bio, related to the human body. I always knew that was on my radar. And this course is pretty perfect for me, I feel, because it incorporates all the sort of features that I'm looking for in like in education. And it like I'm looking through the course module, it gives me like reassurance that these are like topics that I want to study. These are topics that I'd really be interested to pursue for like the next 4 years.
Awesome. And I salute that thought that you are going to join something, a course, which is going to finally help people stay healthier and contribute to, the world in general. So that's amazing, Meher. Coming to you, Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Megan Malhotra. I'm 20 years old. I am currently completing my second year of my Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology, Sociology, and Economics. I'm also pursuing an internship right now with a company set in Bangalore, which specializes in health and fitness. And yeah, I'm really passionate about basketball, which is leading me to pursue sports psychology in my master's. So, as far as I can remember, I've been a sports person since my childhood, and that's what got me to pursue sports psychology as a career because it was simply just a day on a court where it was a tournament with uh, in one school, and I remember just thinking on the court like, okay, where is my team's mind at, my players, what is everybody thinking, how are we gonna get across this point? And I guess at that point I realized that sports and mental health and mental fitness are two of the most important things to me, which is what inspired me to pick up sports psychology.
Amazing. And I think what's so wonderful is that you brought your passion for sport into your liking for a subject, and you just merged the two in to find a path for your future. So that's wonderful and very inspiring. So coming to my next amazing guest, yes, Janvi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Janhavi. I'm also 90. I'm turning 19. Current, so I just finished my 12th. I finished my schooling from Bangalore and last year. I finished my 12th boards from science stream, CBSE board. And currently I'm pursuing a degree, BDES degree, which is a bachelor's in design.
Wow. So how did you figure out that you want to go into design, Janvi?
I've always been like inclined towards like some creative field. Like since I was small, like I was always interested in making making things from scratch. Like whether it's like gifts, making like birthday cards, or I just always enjoyed that. So I thought like since I was so passionate towards making or designing something, I thought this was like the right track for me. So this is what I pursued for my further education.
Wonderful. I mean, from a hobby that you pursued as a kid, and I mean, I know you, so I remember that those little boxes that you created and the cards that you made, or the gifts that you created for your friends, they were so perfect. I mean, and we knew from the very beginning, I guess, that Janvi is definitely going to go in for design. So great work on that, Janvi. So coming to our youngest speaker today, yes, Arav, take it away and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Hi guys, I'm Arav Jain. I'm 17 years old, currently studying in the 12th grade with the science stream. For college and higher studies, I plan to do economics because that subject I found an interest for when I took it as an elective in 11th. So ever since then, learning economics has been really fun, and that's why I want to take it further in college.
Wow, that's like a revelation, right? You took that
Yeah.
subject in 11th and you just fell in love with it and you want to pursue it. That's amazing, Arav. So before that, never were you sitting with your dad or reading the economics times or anything like that?
I still don't. I don't read like a specific economics newspapers, just generally reading the news like Deccan Herald and Bangalore Mirror is another one. But yeah, I don't like look for a specific economics paper, just whatever comes.
And I think today you are sounding very, very excited because yesterday your boards got cancelled and you got this
Yeah,
sense of freedom. I think none of the kids have ever experienced something like that, that you no longer have to take a board exam for
yeah,
which you've been
definitely.
prepping all your school life.
That actually created a lot of stress, like having that uncertainty whether we're gonna have a board exam or not. That created a lot of like confusion. So even at home, you don't know, should I study this? Should I like chill today a little bit? But after yesterday's decision, I just felt like free all of a sudden. So
So how was yesterday when you heard that there's no board exam? What did you go through yesterday?
yesterday was weird. Like I because the news hadn't sunk in yet. So I was like, what do I do? The books are right here. So it felt weird. Like I'm packing these books now, and I'm no longer going to be a school student.
And what was the happiest thing that you're not going to study? Which is that
Chemistry. Chemistry.
Okay, so that's amazing, wonderful, thoughts from all of you, and I'm so inspired how you've taken up whether it was a hobby or a sport or just your thought that you want to give something to the society and channeled it into your career path. That's amazing. But before we jump into our major discussion, I have some activity for you. Okay, so what we're going to do, just keep a few pieces of paper in front of you and a pen. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say a word, and whatever comes to your mind first, just put it down. And then together you can show it and you can say it out loud. It can be a word, it can be a little phrase, whatever you want to pen down. But
So
instantly.
we have to show the camera.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
In your hand. So the word that I'm giving you is missing.
Missing.
Quick.
Do you have to draw something or write something?
You can draw if you want. That's the designer talking. Awesome, Janhavi. Quick. But it has to be a quick one. That's your expression of whatever you want to, tell us. Okay, let's see it. Up.
I had two words, but I wrote friends first.
Ah,
That's
Yes.
the first
basketball
came to my
friends. Meher's, I couldn't see Meher's. Speak it out.
Mine came. It says gone.
Ah, so what is that?
Just the first word that came to my mind.
Fine, awesome. What about Janhavi, the creator?
One.
Same, friends only.
So
Oh.
cute.
So sweet, awesome, wonderful. Okay, the next one that I'm shooting at you. I wish.
Sorry?
I wish. I wish. That's from your side, whatever you want to draw or write. Quick one. Three, two, and one. Let's see it and hear it.
Yeah.
I could meet them. What's Arav? Read it out.
Yeah, I'll read it out. I wish Corona didn't happen.
Ah, awesome. Yes. Meher, I could go to college. Yes, that's here. Beautiful. Janhavi.
Next
I
painting.
wrote a shooting star.
Oh!
Oh
So you
my
want all
God.
the wishes, right, Janhavi? All the above.
Yeah, all of them.
Great. So the last one, okay? The past year. Three, two, and buzz. Let's see it. Home time has been unique, different. Lockdown. Okay, give yourself a loud clap. Awesome. Fantastic. And right here with our little game that we had, you brought out the big question that I have for you. Because on Des Doodles, there's always a tradition that we have this big question, which is the main theme on which we are going to start a conversation on. So the big question that I have for you today is, how has this pandemic impacted the student life, students like you? So I'll throw that question first to you, Arav. You're the youngest panelist, so you start with it and tell us, how has this pandemic been for you?
So with this pandemic, obviously everything shifted to the online side, and that came with its own new set of challenges. And given that we've been in school for like the past 13, 14 years, so it was completely different for not only us, but the teachers as well. And there were various challenges that came up, like challenge of paying attention in class sometimes, because naturally if you're sitting at home, there's a lot of factors that can distract you. And given that it's an online mode of teaching, you can just quickly like chat with friends or something. Basically you're not paying attention. So, the second challenge was not having your friends around you, like in school, at least when you're in the classroom. And as I mentioned before, like if you're not able to pay attention, at least you can refresh with your friends in the lunch break, snack break, be it whatever, and then you'll be able to pay attention later. But at home you're so isolated and it becomes very monotonous to just so it becomes really hard to pay attention. But overall, the experience of online education for me, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't optimal either. But given that the situation was forced upon us, I don't think it could have been better.
And because I think, Arav, what happened was, like, 12th grade is something that you wait all your life, right? And it is
Yeah.
such a crucial point in your life where on one hand you have the board exams at the end of the year, which is like on your mind, and then you have those
Mhm.
entrance exams for the colleges that you need to take. And at that point, all of a sudden you had to just do it all by yourself on the screen. And it's not only, I think it's not just the studying part, the learning part is, there's also so much more. Like if you had been on campus, if you were a badge holder, you would have so many
Yeah.
events to organize, right?
So actually that we did have an opportunity. So our school did have a student council and I was fortunate to be a part of it. So I did get to conduct events and, have discussions with my, uh, you know, members, that club members on what to conduct, how to conduct. And given that it was an online mode, it was a very different experience. So you can't really like call up your senior and be like, what did you do here? And rely on past experience. You have to kind of build a new thing from scratch.
Correct, correct. And how about your graduation? I mean, the graduation, the farewells, and 12th graders, like you've studied with some of your friends for 14 years and you had to say goodbye to them on this
Mhm.
virtual screen. It must have been really tough for you, right?
Yeah, that was a little disappointing that we couldn't have our graduation normally. It happened around April, I think, online graduation, and at that time we had asked the teachers if they could push it to a little later so that there's a possibility of a normal graduation. But obviously, it didn't work out, and so we just had it online before itself.
I'm so happy that the main thing is that you took everything in such a positive way and you kept channelizing it in the right direction. So that is wonderful to see. In such an important period of your life, and you kept going. So amazing, very very well said, Arav. How about you, Janvi? How did it impact you, the pandemic?
Andy, I think similarly, like what Arav said, for most of the educational institutions like colleges or even schools, I think the physical environment plays like a very crucial role for the learning experience. Like when you're surrounded by like your students or faculty or teachers and professors, and you see them working together, or you see students working together on assignments, it kind of like stimulates your brain and it motivates you to study, which I think that was definitely a major drawback for online learning, because most of the time you're just locked in your room and you're trying to finish all your assignments and just finishing all the deadlines on time. For me, like since I pursued design is like very subjective. The learning is very subjective, so most of it happens by experimenting or like exploring. So quite a bit of this freedom was restricted because we had to explore only within our limits because we are all at home, and most of us, because of lockdown and all the restrictions, we couldn't procure like the necessary material.
Right.
So, and whereas if you were on college, like on campus, the college provides like a lot of facilities, like you get material or digital labs where you can, there's like unlimited access to materials. So you can explore and speak to people also. And so because of this, I think in our foundation year also, like we couldn't delve into like technical courses in detail. We just had to make do with like basic learning. So like learning softwares, new softwares and all that, it didn't happen pretty efficiently. And also in this creative field, like I know most of the learning you pick up skills from like your professors or your faculty, but I think even like peer learning plays a significant role in this field.
Absolutely, and not only your field. I think that's true for everyone.
Yeah,
The learning is not just about the subject that you're learning. When you study together with students and with
yeah.
your
Hmm.
peers around you, there's learning at every step of the way, right? And
Hmm.
but lucky for you, Janvi, that you had finished your board exam, so you didn't get stuck in a
Yeah.
phase like Arav, where he was studying for his board exams. He didn't know what was going to happen. Then yesterday he got the news that he doesn't have to take the board exam. So that part at least you got through. But were you able to get through with your graduation on the campus, or that didn't happen?
Yeah, and for our batch, we did get it. It was on campus, luckily. So
Wonderful. But
That was
I
it.
think, like you said, that when you are joining a college, there is that sense of, independence and that feeling of freedom. Of course, there's a lot of responsibility also coming along with it.
Hmm.
But there is, all those different feelings that, and you had to just, be locked in a room to study, and you didn't get to experience that. So definitely that, didn't really
Yeah.
make you very happy about things.
In a way, I think it was good because, like, for in Megan's case, like she experienced first year, so here we don't really know what you're missing out on. So in a way, it was kind of
Yeah, but also I think there are those dreams that you want to live, what you've just heard about. But I'm
yeah.
again, I really commendable how you are still staying positive and you're still trying to be happy about, the situation that you all are in. But soon the times will change and you will get back to those campuses that you're longing for. So coming to you, Meher, what was your story like when the pandemic hit?
This year has just overall been really like different for me in like every possible way. And like starting the beginning when I joined an Indian university because I was uncertain about whether I'd be able to go abroad and like what my situation would be because of COVID. I'm glad I did take that decision at that point because especially a course like mine would have been really pointless to do online. Especially because it's an international university, like you don't want to, do the whole thing online, at least the entire first year.
So basically,
Um,
you deferred your admission. Is it you put it?
yeah, I took a break here. I deferred my admission to 2021. And I am glad that I did, join an Indian university as a backup. But obviously, it was a very like tough year in a lot of ways because of just so much uncertainty. Like I was going to college till about Feb, I was still here, and I was still not sure about like what my situation would be would be like with regards to going abroad. Um, and obviously, and like after I dropped out and I realized that I'd be able to go abroad this year, um, I was it was good. I was excited. Obviously, I still am very excited, but it's obviously been a very like bittersweet year because I've been at home. I've never been in a situation like this where I've had actually like for a couple of months in the middle I had absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I've never been in a situation like that, and it was very different for me because I like being productive. I like packing a lot in my day. So it was different, and it was hard at times. But I feel like it was also like beneficial in a lot of ways, and I feel like I discovered a lot more that I can do with myself because until now, through high school, it was only like for some reason like the way the education system just was. The way it worked in my head was that I have to like study, mug up portions for a particular subject, and then write my exams, and then like get good grades, and that was it. But this year I've learned there's a lot more I can do, and there's a lot, there are hobbies that I can pursue. There's like a lot more I can do in a day. So I feel like that's been a great experience, and I also got time at home, like an extra
Yeah, and I
extra
think
year at home.
you also
It's
you
awesome.
also took up internship and you
Yeah,
joined an Indian institute also to continue with your learning, which is really
yeah,
what I appreciate about it. That you did not let the year just go by, and you continued on that
yeah,
path, and that's really appreciated. That's amazing.
yeah.
So
And
coming,
I really feel like,
sorry,
yeah,
yes, Meher.
no, I'm done.
No, you were saying something. Please continue. Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like I would have lost steam if I didn't do anything else this year. And that's why I feel like the internship was helpful because like it's kept me like it's kept my brain working. It's kept me like moving for these couple of months. So at least I have that.
Absolutely, and it is learning. I think the way you learn in an internship because
Yeah, definitely.
hands-on learning, so definitely it's adding to your education in a big way. So
Yeah.
great thought on that. Yes, Megan, tell us.
Yeah, so for me, like how everybody had their own situations, I got to experience my first year in college on campus. And after that, around just when it ended, the lockdown was implemented and everybody had to be home. So I spent my entire second year at home on online classes. And actually, throughout, I assumed that I was one of the luckiest batches compared to other batches in my course, because we have 3 years. And I thought, I got my first year, which is just the introduction to college, to experience it out there. And I'll mostly get to experience my final year also on campus. So it's fine, it's just 1 year. And to be honest, it was quite fun as well in the beginning, because it's a new thing. You've never done something like this before. You're getting the flexibility to take classes from home, wake up like 5 minutes before your class, and just join, not wearing any uniform. So it is all really exciting, right? And you're like, okay, it's easier now. But then with time, it also gets sort of monotonous. And like you guys said, having your whatever assignments and interactions with your classmates and peers, you kind of realize the importance of that even more. Because uh, like you were saying, I remember in my first year as well, when we had some assignments and there were some group assignments, and we got to go outside a class, go on campus somewhere, go outside to like a mall and stuff, and conduct experiments and stuff there, which is the kind of stuff that you miss out right now. Because a lot of our assignments just came into online, like submitting an essay, or there wasn't much diversity in the kind of work we got, which is something we lost out on. And definitely, uh, being students, you're really used to being more active, more social outside, which again was reduced. You had to move to more like social media, digital communication, more than what we were before, as one of the only ways of meeting with your friends and connecting with family everywhere. And it made it more challenging. Like you had to make more of an effort, I think, to stay in touch with people, to make sure you still have those connections. Because sometimes, even despite the effort you make online, it's harder to keep that strength of the relationship as it was before. Right. So I feel it was quite challenging and certain. It was fun as well. We got to, like I said, spend more time at home, discover new things at home, and I quite enjoyed my time at home as well. I didn't think, I would be able to just stay at home for so long and just enjoy the whole time at home as well. But somehow every day we found things to do. You find ways to entertain yourself, your family, and really to enjoy your own time, which I think is also really important.
And I think,
So on the whole, it was a good experience.
yeah, absolutely. And I think one very important thing that you brought out, Megan, which was, I think I saw in everyone's story, was also that connect between each other, like your with your friends and with your teachers. Because when you don't have it, that's when it hits you hard. That's where you realize that how much it makes an impact on you. Like just sitting with friends and just talking, whether if it's a problem that you're discussing, and especially like Megan, you said in your field, your psychology, I think there is no other way but to just sit across each other and try to talk and understand what that person is going through. So the kind of experiments that you have to do have to be more on the campus kinds and more out there in the open rather than just in closed doors, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I think personally for me, also, it was challenging in another way of uh, being active physically as well. So that's another thing I sort of missed out on a lot this year, because from the beginning, I had to be at home and I lost access to facilities I need to be active. And which it was also good that it challenged me to find new ways to keep myself active and work that out. But also, a whole year missing something I'm so passionate about was quite hard as well.
Arav, you also play sport, right? So how did you keep up
Yeah.
with that?
So, I mean, initially, like the initial lockdown, you couldn't really do much apart from at home, like Megan said, entertain yourself, either not physical activity, no, that was not that too much, but in between when things started to die down, I couldn't really stop. Like I had to go and play something. So I used to go down and play basketball with my friends quite a bit. But that initial period, that was quite challenging, but you find ways to keep yourself busy.
Right. And then through all the experience that you've shared, one thing that I want to do now is just take you back into those beautiful times. because you're all trying to remember that. And let's go back to when the times were good and you were back on your school campuses. So when you look back into that education, can you tell me one thing that you would want changed in that education system? Because see, I've been an educator all my life. So if I thought that, I want to make the education system better, or I want to transform it in any way, so you guys are the recipients of that education. And if I ask you and you give me an honest feedback, I think that would help all the educators make that education system more engaging, the classrooms more exciting, and it would help so many people to think, what do the students want? So tell me one thing that you feel that should change in our education system. Yes, Janvi, let's hear it from you.
I think the most important thing, like for me, when I was doing my schooling, I think most of our like portion is quite a bit of it is like rote learning. Like you're just mugging up quite like there's no application based. Like you do have practicals, but like when you're writing your tests or exams, you're most of the time you're trying to like just cram information couple of days before the exams so that you can write what's the questions which will ask on the paper so you can answer them. So I feel like if there are like I know some chapters will be theoretical and some will be more practical based where they will have more applications. So I feel in that case, like for the theoretical chapters, there should be like a different form of learning. Like maybe for the theory based chapters, you can instead of testing as exams or objective questions, you can have like projects so you can understand in detail. Whereas the ones where are more application based, you can have like experiments. So it's more inclusive and you can understand the subject as a whole.
Absolutely, very very well said. What about Meher? What do you think?
Similar to what Janvi said, obviously, and I also feel like um, the education system right now, everything, all your learning is just very marks oriented. Everything ultimately depends on marks, and I really don't think it should be that way. So that's definitely something. And the issue is that uh, when you're going to college after high school, life isn't like that, and education doesn't work like that. Education shouldn't work like that. And because you've spent so many years in school, learning a certain way, and cramming and studying only just to like get marks, I feel like you have to unlearn all of that after school ends, because college is not like that, and the world also doesn't work like that. You have to think with a more objective mind in when you're working or when you're in college, and I feel like you have to unlearn everything you did in school then. So I feel like that's definitely an issue.
So very
I
much.
think that makes a lot of yeah, I just want to say I think that makes a lot of sense how you were saying that the whole mugging part of it and aiming for marks, because I think when that becomes the aim, when there's so much like theoretical stuff that you just have to mug up, your aim doesn't become that you want to study that or you want to learn what it's about. It becomes that okay, I need to get these many marks, which is the complete opposite of the point of like studying or learning anything, right? You want to learn to know more about something and like explore more into that subject. So if you're completely losing out on the point of it, then it just shows that you need to change the way you're teaching or learning.
And ultimately I feel like if this has happened to me, like myself, what happens is because you're so used to only mugging up information, you don't actually retain a lot of it, and you don't see the logic in a lot of things. Like this has happened to me in bio itself. There are certain times where I don't apply logic, and I the only things I know about my subject are the things that I've learned for my exams. And if someone asks me anything outside of that, like in COVID times, my family would ask me something about the virus, and they're like, "Do you know what the virus is composed of? Do you know what the vaccine? Do you know what the vaccine comprises of?" I don't know. I don't know how to apply logic from school. I only know how to like study for marks at this point. So yeah.
So I think that that's very true. That it would be interesting to see that if instead of just making the students mug up and then literally vomit it out on the question paper and exam, you were given projects and you were made to understand, taken to maybe the industry out there, taken to labs outside, made you see what exactly is happening on the ground, and then make you understand what the reality of that subject is, what you are reading, how does it function in the outside world. So there needs to be a connect between the schools or the education system and the industry and the world outside. So if that is introduced early on, you would probably have a very hands-on experience. Like suppose for like Meher is talking about medicine. What if you were taken to clinics when you were little and you were shown things and you were made to watch certain things from there, or how a nurse is attending to a wound or a fracture or something like that, or if somebody was brought into school. So I think that would make everything look crystal. Or suppose for Janvi, like if you are in design and if you were taken to a designer studio, I think, and for children, like if all of you went there and everybody thought that, do I really want to be a designer? Because some of the children won't even know that what it is like to be, right? Like you had a hobby, so probably you pursued it. But what do you think, Arav?
I mean, yeah, what you just mentioned, like making them aware of the various different opportunities that are available, that is something I think should be improved upon. Because if you think about it, in India, majority of the people, they just go either engineering or medical, and that's still very much prevalent. So I think changing that idea and making students, making parents more aware of the other opportunities that are available, the other subjects that you can take, that I think that should be changed. And I was lucky enough to be able to pursue economics, because sometimes even if a student wants to do something, there's sometimes maybe some added pressure from behind or maybe family pressure, and then they're forced to go into another stream altogether. So that way I was fortunate enough that I was allowed to do what I want to.
Absolutely. And that's what I see in this whole panel that we have here. We have the beautiful colors of all shades, all different fields. Somebody wants to be an economist, somebody wants to be a designer. So that's amazing that all of you have found that calling in you and you are following that path. And I think, educators listening to us would all, you know, probably want to do something that can help students in the future, like that, to make learning more hands-on, more alive. I think that's what it needs to be. It needs to be alive, and you can just feel that education growing around you. So coming from there to again the times that we are in, because again whenever we are talking, we are again talking about doing things together, collaborative work and learning like that. So in this time, we've lived, so I say, like antisocial way, right? We've not been interacting with people, and there was so much uncertainty, like we talked about earlier. So how did all of you deal with those two things in this past 1 year? Whoever
I
wants to
think
go. Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, it wasn't much of like a change as such, because like studying and there's just more time at home. So whatever processes you follow, you just have to trust that, and that'll work. So for me, there wasn't really a like I have to change my approach to studying or change my approach to learning as such. But like some challenges, like as I mentioned long back, that to pay attention in class, that is something you just have to do by yourself. So I told myself before itself, let's try and pay attention. Like before the day started, let's try and get through all the classes. But towards the end, it does become a little harder to overcome those challenges because of how monotonous it is. So towards the end of the school year, I was struggling to pay attention in classes.
Fine. And how about you, Megan?
In fact, I wanted to address another change I thought could be like integrated into the education system from last time. So I wanted to also add on like one thing to Janvi's point, how she said make things more application based, right? I got to experience two sides of it. One part where it was very mugging up based, and you're trying to remember a lot of things. And I also got to experience learning in a more application based way. And I totally agree that once I got to experience the second part, I always thought that why couldn't the previous things I studied also be learned in that way? Because then I realized that I was learning to learn and not just to get marks. So like experiencing both, you realize that it in fact makes a change, and it would really help students be more passionate about studying. And one of the biggest things for me, I definitely would love to see in not, I'm sure a lot of systems have made this change, but in some places to really bring out a balance in your academics and your co-curricular activities, and bring those up equally to the level of academics, because I think a lot of places still see academics as the number one thing that you have to pursue in life, and not like, if you're passionate about performing arts or music or theater or sports, they're equally important for some people. And um, people should get to experience those opportunities to experiment and see if that's what they want to pursue, because there's no shortage of place in those industries. The sports industry is huge, the entertainment industry is huge, so why can't they pursue that just as easily as pursuing something academically, right? It's just about your teachers and parents having a more open mind to expressing to you and telling you that that's also equally good, and it's about what you want to do, because when someone does something with passion, that's when they're going to succeed at it. So if your children love to dance or they love to play badminton, basketball, let them try that out, and they themselves, after trying it out, will know whether they want to go that way or not. But don't stop them from a young age, because that's when you know they just get, there's going to be pressure, and they're not going to enjoy what they get to do.
No, that's a beautiful message because generally, I think in our Indian education system and our Indian households, I think there is a general trend that sports and co-curricular activities are kind of not given the same value
Weightage.
as the sciences, especially. Like, it is definitely the thing to go to, but times definitely should change mainly. And if it happens in school also, it will encourage the students to move forward in
Exactly.
different spheres. But for that, even the schools need to have more subjects, like have all the options available to children, that there should be
Yeah.
the arts, there should be liberal arts, there should be sciences and commerce. So all the subjects need to be available. And that would be wonderful, I think, if children were given the options to choose their subjects a little early
Yeah.
on, instead of
Exactly. Like,
doing it at 11th and 12th. If the What do you think if children were given the option to choose at ninth grade?
I think that would be a perfect because you see, if you realize too late and you try to get there too late, sometimes you won't be able to reach the level that you wanted to reach, right? And if you were exposed to it from the beginning and you got really attached to it from there, you would really develop the skill set to take it big and make yourself big in that field, which I think is what a lot of people would want but can't do if it comes late.
What are your
I
thoughts?
But I
think
feel like
comes
this
down
is
to
also provided that you're exposed to it from the beginning. Because if you're not, and if supposing they only start giving you options for these kind of subjects in eighth grade, and then they expect you to take a decision by ninth grade, you don't know what you want to do. So you can't be expected to take a decision that early if you're not exposed enough from the beginning.
Yeah, so I think that's what has to be the major change. Just like showing the students what different options they have, so that they can try each one of them and then see which one they want to do for the future.
Yeah. So that's what it needs to start early on, that the children need to be exposed to everything, whatever is out there, the kind of industries that are out there, right from, you could start from the primary years itself, taking them out, showing them what a bakery is like, or what a studio of an artist is like, or what does a musician do, or what an RJ does, or what a DJ does, all kinds. It should be, I think, a culmination of all art forms. So amazing thoughts there from all of you, and hopefully we will see our education system adopting something new. So coming to again the present times that we are in, you all talked about that, you learned to live in a different way from when the normal times were. So is there something that you will take forward from here, something that has become an integral part of you, something that you incorporated into yourself, it became your being, Janvi?
I think like from what I've just learned from this pandemic is the importance of the value of certain things which earlier I used to take for granted, like just like basic work, like even like household chores, like the amount of hard work that goes into that, or even like simple things like going down for a walk and like meeting your friends, chilling out, hanging out, chatting with them. I think the pandemic taught me the importance of these simple things and how usually we take it for granted. Like even during the first lockdown, I remember like there are a lot of restrictions and there are quite strict rules, so we couldn't even roam around within the apartment or meet each other down. So I learned how as human beings also we can adapt and adjust so fast. Like despite the fact that we couldn't meet down, we used to like do video calls, watch movies together. So we used to find some new ways to connect and with each other.
Lovely thought. Yes, Arav?
I think just it made me realize that how much time we actually have in our hands when you're bored like that. So then finding ways to keep yourself entertained, and so every time like in the evening, me and my family we would like get together and play board games like religiously in the when lockdown just started and there was no online school or office or whatever. So we would all like wait for that time so that we can play together and all. And just realizing that you have so much time to do all other things that was what I'm going to take
Yeah,
forward.
that's exactly, in fact, what we do. How you said playing board games during the day. It's just the same here. Like we have like this certain time we sort of set aside, which is usually just devoted to like playing a game or just sitting together, which I think it gives some like structure to your day. So at least, if you don't know anything in the day, at least you have this to just keep yourself occupied.
And also like during this lockdown you get to really explore different things that you would want to do which you wouldn't have been allowed to do.
Exactly.
Meher mentioned this before. So
Mm.
even I like I think someone forwarded like something about an internship, so I just took part in it. So that was also a good experience which I don't think I would have been able to do if it was normal school.
What about you, Meher?
That's what, as I said earlier, I feel like just realizing that there's so much more you can do apart from study. And I'm glad I learned this lesson before going to college because I don't want my college life to be that linear. Like, where I only have to study and I have to focus on doing well. There's a lot of other things you can do and you can multitask. I feel like I've learned multitasking from this a lot. And also, like Johnny said, we took so many things for granted. Like, one thing was, meeting your friends in school every day. That was so taken for granted that you're going to see their faces every day, every morning. And this year, I realized how hard it is to actually maintain those relationships. When you're not in school, you're not in college. It's when you're not really tied to any institution, it's really hard to maintain those relationships virtually. But yeah, like that.
No, that's so right that it's, how you keep those relationships going, and how patiently you have to deal with things, because, and the world kind of, everybody was just rushing in normal times, and it just became a slow paced life for everyone. Everybody got to focus on the family, everybody who's around you. When you connected with people you had not connected in long time, and you were chatting with your grandparents, or you were chatting with your uncle and aunts, and you kind of took time out to do those things which were probably not happening so much because there was so much going on in lives every time, right? And you, Megan, what did you have to say?
Yeah, I think how we were talking about connecting with friends. Like, I think I remember the first time we probably tried to put a video call or something and try something. It was so exciting because it was a normal thing that we used to do. Like every day, yeah, we meet each other down. But somehow putting this video call for the first time, everyone was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! Let's watch a movie together." Because it was, firstly, it had been so long since we'd even interacted. So just something that was so normal had become so unique and exciting because of the situation we were put in. And I think one thing you said, which is what I was going to say, is about patience. I think the lockdown really taught me how to be patient because I think for everyone, this, like, no one's ever really lived in a situation like this for so long, out of nowhere. It's not like you had some practice to, just, okay, 2 months before, just stay home. It's just suddenly it just came. You went from being completely outside, free, doing whatever you want, to being enclosed in your house, and you just had to adapt to it suddenly. But slowly it just taught you how to be patient, how to find like happiness out of the small things you do at home, because that's what would just keep you going, right? So it just made me, like, find things that I might enjoy to do with myself, with my family. And just, it also taught me about myself, that how important it is to me to be active, and to do that for myself, and make sure that I, like, realize that whatever happens, I know that I will always find ways to keep myself active, because this really tested that, and it just made me realize that.
Correct. And I think something that I want to ask you along with this is, how did social media, what role did social media play in all of this during this time?
Zero for me. I'm not on any form of social media, so
Wow, wow, that's a wonderful. I mean, if you can hang on to that kind of a thing, it's amazing, Arav. What about you, Janvi?
I think social media for me played like both like a role where it was like a form of entertainment as well as like it informed me about what was happening around the world. Because I remember like when I just joined like Instagram or something, I was so addicted to it. Like I would constantly be on the explore page or looking up at posts and memes. But then slowly, I also realized how all these social media is like, in spite of all of us being confined at home, like being disconnected from the outside world and from each other, it also helped us like be informed and aware of, and be up to date about what all was happening around the world. Like, I know at times it was kind of overwhelming because you're constantly being bombarded with like the negative news or fake news, which cause like panic and havoc. But it also brought out how people can be really considerate and supportive in these situation and conditions. Like I remember seeing lots of stories and on WhatsApp, like a lot of forwarded messages where people are like donating money or trying to give money to charity, distributing food or medicines or masks. So it was really nice to see how people like they're doing their best to help out in every way possible in their own little ways.
What about you too, Meher?
I feel like social media has had a positive and negative effect. Obviously, I feel like it would have been really hard to survive this time without social media. That's what's kept us all connected. That's what's kept us going in a lot of ways. But again, as Janvi said, like there's constantly bad news. At least for the last 1 year since the pandemic started, there's been bad news every day. Every single day, you find out how many new people have died, how many new people have been diagnosed. It's obviously very depressing. And social media can have its negative impacts. And I feel like that isn't dependent on this time. That's in general, social media can be negative when you get addicted to it, obviously. But I feel like since we were at home and we had more time to spend on our phones, the excessive use of social media could have been really, it's harmful at times. And even I got annoyed a lot of times. I, like deleted Instagram, deleted Snapchat for like a couple of days together because it gets really overwhelming after one point. But obviously, like it's what kept us connected through this time. So.
Yeah, I think uh that's true. I mean, you guys basically covered most of what I wanted to say, because I remember like Maya telling me at times, I would have messaged her a few days ago. She's like, no, I just deleted it. I just needed a break, and it happened quite a few times. And you realize you need those breaks also, because it does get too much. And what Janvi said about being more informed, right? It didn't even take like 1 or 2 months when I realized that other than COVID, also so many other things that are going around in the world that I didn't know of. I saw it there. And sometimes it was a lot as well, because sometimes my mind would just feel like that's all I could think about in my head. right? It was just like, oh my God, I just saw what is going on, over here, over there, with these people, that people. At one time, it was just completely bombarded with all that information, which was really hard to maintain because, see, already stuck in a hard situation itself, being in a lockdown, staying at home. On top of that, you just keep looking at information like this, which of course it's important to be aware about and try to change. But also sometimes it gets really overwhelming and it's hard to deal with and to get out of that framework. So in that way, it was also a boon, but it was also a disadvantage because it informed you, but sometimes it was too much information. So in but otherwise, I think it was quite important as well because, of course, without social media, the one way of staying connected with everybody, it would have been really hard to maintain and keep those relationships as strong as you could with the social media that you did. It was hard enough to keep them this strong with social media. And without that, I'm sure, like, it would have been a lot tougher for everybody. So I think it had a balance of, pros and cons. But eventually, I think we needed it to get through this time.
And I think one more thing that I think all of us needed was Netflix and Prime.
Definitely.
That got everybody somehow going and staying positive, watching, binge watching, right?
Yeah. I mean, that also started its own thing, how the whole Netflix party and you saw new apps coming up and stuff like House Party to try and make it a little more entertaining, little more just, interactive with your friends to, like House Party, you can play games with it or with your friends, and Netflix Party, you can watch with your friends. So they came up with different ways also to keep us,
It
connected.
sounds
It's also
like
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, Meher, something you were saying.
I said all the house party, Netflix party and stuff was giving us some semblance of real life. Like, like how
Yeah.
we actually sit with our friends and watch or like, just chill with our friends or something.
I think the most important thing is that social media is the tool in your hand. And if you're able to keep that balance, that you're using it to your convenience and it's not using you, I think as long as you can maintain that, you have a power in your hand. But the day it starts using you and it takes over you, that's very scary. So I think to maintain that balance between the digital and the real world is a challenge that your generation definitely has looming in front of you. How you're going to maintain that balance is, but I can see that all four of you have contributed to the conversation in such an amazing, such a mature manner, and you've stood your ground in this challenging time. You've held on to the positivity of things, which is amazing to see, and I'm so proud of each one of you, and I wish you that you get to be in your campuses very soon. You get to experience the joy of learning hands on, and that education comes alive for all of you. So wishing you all the best, and thank you for being on the podcast today. Have a great year.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having us.
Bye bye.